If pop culture has taught us anything, it's that the battle for the throne almost always ends in blood. We've seen it play out epically in Game of Thrones, and with all the mafia finesse of The Godfather. But what if, instead of swords or dragons, the weapons were billion-dollar contracts, private helicopters, and an endless supply of psychological warfare? That's exactly where Succession comes in. This show isn't just about who inherits the Waystar Royco empire. It's a brutal, addictive study of how absolute power can corrode the soul of anyone. On one side, there's Logan Roy, a patriarch who makes movie villains look like doting dads. On the other, his children, Kendall, Shiv, and Roman, locked in a never-ending war for their father's approval. But the true brilliance of the series lies in its awkwardness. It's that insane mix of Shakespearean tragedy with the cringe comedy of watching billionaires behave like spoiled kids. If you think your family is complicated, just wait until you revisit the saga of the Roys. So today, we dive deep into the story of the richest, most toxic, and dysfunctional family on television. Things start off strange with Logan, a billionaire patriarch who seems disoriented, peeing in the corner of his bedroom. Is it a sign of age or dementia? The question lingers. Cut to his son Kendall, who is convinced he's the next ruler of the world. He's trying to close a deal to acquire a digital media startup, but the owner despises his family. Desperate to impress his father, Kendall hikes the offer, thinking he's making a power move. Meanwhile, we meet cousin Greg, the series' comic relief. Working at a theme park, he shows up high, vomits inside his mascot costume, and is fired on the spot.
This one. Come on.
His fed-up mother sends him to New York to beg his wealthy uncle Logan for a job. At Logan's birthday party, the atmosphere is pure The Office-style cringe. Greg arrives and is nearly tackled by Colin, the head of security, but manages to slip in. Tom, the sycophantic son-in-law, gives the old man a prohibitively expensive watch he clearly doesn't want, while Connor, the eldest and most attached son, brings a sourdough starter. Yes, bread. Then comes the bombshell. Logan gathers the children and announces that, contrary to the succession plan, he is not retiring. He will remain as CEO. Kendall has a spoiled brat meltdown, trashes a bathroom, and tries to frantically clean it up. During the family's traditional softball game, Roman reveals his sadistic streak. He offers $1 million check to the groundskeeper's son if the boy can hit a home run. The boy loses, and Roman rips up the check in his face, laughing. Pure cruelty. On the helicopter ride back, the children refuse to sign the new management papers, and Logan suffers a stroke, collapsing into Connor's lap. The king has fallen. Chaos erupts at the hospital. Logan is out cold in the ICU, and the siblings, Kendall, Shiv, Roman, and Connor, are ushered out by doctors. Instead of grieving, they immediately start plotting the press narrative. Connor, completely off the rails, becomes obsessed with the idea of cryogenically freezing his father, like the Walt Disney urban legend. We also get a display of low-rent sibling rivalry. Roman, feeling guilty for not siding with his father, accuses Shiv of causing the stroke. It gets so heated they end up in a physical scuffle on the hospital floor. Meanwhile, stepmother Marcia shows who's really in charge, blocking the children's access and treating cousin Greg like a high-end intern. Kendall steps in as interim CEO, thinking he's in control, but gets hit with a reality check. The startup owner publishes a hit piece on the family titled "Shit Show at the Fuck Factory." To make matters worse, Tom picks the worst possible timing to propose to Shiv in the middle of the hospital. She accepts, but with the enthusiasm of someone getting a root canal. Just when it seems things couldn't get worse, Jerry, the general counsel, drops a nuclear bomb on Kendall. Logan took out a secret $3 billion debt tied to the company's stock. If the stock price drops, the bank takes everything. The empire is hanging by a thread.
In 1985, Logan needed cash badly for the expansion into parks, so he took out a loan through the family holding company.
And to close with maximum tension, old man Logan opens his eyes. Waystar Royco's financial situation is tanking faster than a canceled actor's career. Kendall is in a total panic, calling his ex-wife Rava to whinge, but she's busy being a responsible adult. With no way out, our boy Wonder tries to negotiate with the bank but loses his cool, curses out the manager, and effectively slams the door in his own face. Great strategy, champ. Meanwhile, cousin Greg shows up for his first day of work only to find out he doesn't exist in the system. It's a classic corporate nightmare until Tom adopts him as his official lackey. In the office next door, Roman celebrates his new workspace in a peculiar way. He closes the blinds and manually pays tribute to himself while overlooking the city. Total American Psycho vibes. Shiv tries to visit her father, but Marcia is running a defense tighter than the Pentagon's security team. When Shiv finally gets in to tell him about her engagement, Logan has a bizarre short circuit, grabs her hand, and makes a highly inappropriate move. She leaves more traumatized than a horror movie protagonist. antagonist. To save the company, Kendall turns to his college friend Stewie. Stewie agrees to invest, but it comes at a steep price: equity, a board seat, and a little nose candy for his troubles, Wolf of Wall Street style. The company is safe for now, but when Kendall tells his father, expecting a well done, Logan just calls him an idiot. To top off the disaster, Greg spots the new savior Stewie, cozying up to the company's biggest enemy, Sandy Furness. Betrayal is in the air. Logan is doing physical therapy at home with the temperament of a bear woken mid-hibernation, screaming even at Marcia. Meanwhile, Tom receives a Trojan horse gift from his predecessor in the cruises division, a box full of dirty secrets. We're not talking about stolen towels. This is X-Files level heavy crimes, and worse, all swept under the rug. Tom isn't about to go down alone and drags poor Greg into the pit with him. The plan? Destroy the evidence and commit some light obstruction of justice. In a very clumsy Breaking Bad fashion, they become paranoid that everyone knows, creating an absurd level of comedic tension. The night's main event is the Foundation's gala. Kendall is all puffed up, planning to announce his father's permanent retirement. However, Logan decides to make a surprise visit to Kendall's office, and in a moment of either pure dominance or senility, pees on Kendall's carpet. He literally marked his territory.
Oh, Jesus fuck.
At the gala, things go south. Tom is spiraling, convinced he's going to prison, and accuses Greg of being a snitch. But the main show is on stage. Logan grabs the mic, ignores Kendall's script, and pulls a Michael Jordan, "I'm back." He announces his full return, humiliating his son in front of the entire New York elite. Kendall ends the night alone, without a girlfriend or a throne, while the old man gets a standing ovation. It's Thanksgiving at the Roy Mansion, and if you think your family is dysfunctional, wait until you see this dinner. Marcia invited Ewan, Logan's estranged brother who lives in Canada, hoping for a miracle reconciliation. It falls to Greg to endure a 12-hour drive to pick up the grumpy old man. At the office, Logan is obsessed with the prehistoric idea of buying local TV stations, completely ignoring Kendall's advice about the future of the company. The old man is so out of it he spills coffee on himself, and Roman, the gossip that he is, rushes to tell Kendall. It's the perfect ammunition. Dad is unstable. Kendall decides it's now or never for the final coup and begins planning a vote of no confidence with the board. Meanwhile, Shiv shoves a prenup in Tom's face, who's too busy trying to commit federal crimes to notice. He sends Greg to shred the cruise scandal documents over the holiday, but Greg, in a masterstroke or out of pure fear, decides to keep insurance copies. The dumb cousin is starting to play the game. Dinner is a psychological horror show. Ewan calls Logan out, saying he pretends to be tough but never actually fought in the war. To top it off, they play a memory game. Logan freezes, snaps when his grandson Iverson tries to take a turn, and hits the child in the face with a can of cranberry sauce. The atmosphere goes from heady to funereal. Kendall realizes his father is dangerous and confronts him. Even Jerry, always in the shadows, warns Kendall, if he's going to kill the king, she'll help.
Here, here.
I work for Waystar, not Logan Roy. Are you thinking of moving against him? Because if you are, I've spoken to Frank, and I've seen all I need to see.
Judgment Day has arrived. Kendall is hunting for shareholder votes like a desperate politician, trying to secure the majority to oust his father. The tension is so high that even Logan goes to Washington to seek the president's support, but he gets stood up due to national security issues and returns furious. While Tom takes Greg to a cheap diner thinking they've cleared the cruise problem, Shiv is in DC flirting with her father's political rival and her ex-boyfriend Nate. But the real focus is New York. On the day of the vote, Murphy's Law hits Kendall with full force. A terrorist threat shuts down the airspace and locks Manhattan traffic. He has to ditch his limo and run through the city, sweating through his suit just to make the meeting he called. He joins the room via speakerphone, but he made a fatal error. Logan refuses to leave the room while they vote on his fate. The old man stays, staring everyone down with a look that promises ruin. The vote begins and ends in a tie, leaving the final decision to Roman. With his father breathing down his neck, Roman falters, stutters, and can't find the courage to raise his hand against him. The coup fails miserably. The result is a corporate bloodbath. Logan fires everyone who voted against him on the spot, including Kendall. The prodigal son ends the day kicked out of the building, wandering aimlessly through the city, while Logan answers a call from the president, proving he still owns the playground. After the epic failure of the coup, the Roy family tries something rich people love to pretend works: group therapy. Connor invites everyone to his ranch in New Mexico for a forced spiritual retreat, but Logan only agrees to go to polish his public image. Kendall, who is currently suing his own father, starts by claiming he's sober, but quickly spirals into the local underworld to do hard drugs with strangers, in a Breaking Bad vibe minus the chemistry. At the ranch, it's an absolute disaster. The therapist tries to get Logan to open up, and the old man feeds him some line about building an empire for his kids. Shiv smells the bullshit from a mile away, while Marcia intimidates Willow with creepy stories about escorts who met gruesome ends. To lighten the mood, the therapist dives into the shallow end of the pool and knocks his teeth out, leaving on a stretcher.
Jump, you fucking pussy. Jump.
Okay, let's take a look. The bleeding always makes it look worse than it actually.
Roman, now playing at being in charge of satellite launches, goes to retrieve Kendall, who arrives at the ranch completely unhinged. The family confrontation explodes. Kendall accuses his father of planting fake stories about his addiction. Logan calls Shiv a coward, and there's even a mention of a wicked Uncle Noah. Everyone leaves in tears or screaming. At the end, Logan goes for a swim alone, and the camera reveals massive scars on his back. The old man is a monster, but it seems he was raised under the lash, which explains a lot about this corporate Darth Vader. It's Tom's bachelor party. And of course, Roman hijacks the planning. Instead of Prague, they head to an ultra-exclusive underground party, a billionaire fight club of sorts, where even rival Sandy Furness makes an appearance. Tom gets a hall pass from Shiv to enjoy the night, but he gets more paranoid than Ross from Friends, assuming it means she's playing the field too, and she is cheating on him again with Nate while ignoring her fiance's calls. Kendall tries to play Shark Tank, looking to invest in an art app, but gets a historic rejection from the founders because the Roy brand is too toxic. It crushes his ego. The result? He forces poor cousin Greg, who was only there to babysit him on Logan's orders, to go along with his reckless behavior. It's the saddest peer pressure in history. Mid-party, they air some dirty laundry about their childhood. Roman recalls Kendall locking him in a cage and feeding him dog food, but Connor drops the bomb that Roman asked to go in the cage because he liked it and their father saw him as the wheat dog. Healthy family, right? Kendall decides to cross the final line. He allies with enemy Sandy and former friend Stewie to launch a hostile takeover. The war is now nuclear. The Roy family lands in England for Shiv and Tom's wedding at a castle that looks straight out of Downton Abbey, but with much more toxic people. While Logan only attempts to avoid gossip, Kendall and Stewie are in a local pub finalizing the plan to topple the old man, like spy movie villains. At the castle, the cringe is palpable. Their mother, Caroline, arrives dropping uncomfortable truths about Greg's father, and Marcia decides to dismantle Shiv's self-esteem, calling her stepdaughter spoiled with the coldness of an ice queen.
Well, va te faire foutre. Go out and see how you like it. Fuck off.
Speaking of Shiv, she's playing all sides, manipulating her fiancé about the cruise files while cheating with Mate right under everyone's noses. The problem is, Greg, playing detective, catches them and decides to warn Tom. Tom's reaction? Instead of thanking him, he basically tackles Greg. Tom is clearly handling the pressure well. Meanwhile, Kendall is a nervous wreck, mixing paranoia with illicit substances. He tries to delay the corporate strike, but his partners decide the attack will happen during the wedding. Nothing says congratulations to the happy couple like trying to steal the bride's father's company on her wedding day. The night ends with a rare moment, the siblings smoking weed on a boat and hugging, only to realize they forgot to invite Connor. Classic. The big day has arrived, and the level of chaos is higher than a Game of Thrones season finale. Connor forces his girlfriend into the family photos, and Kendall is so stressed over the takeover documents that he ends up screaming at his own child. Father of the year for sure. The bomb drops when Kendall delivers the bear hug letter to Logan. The patriarch does not take it well, kicks his son out, and enters war mode. Meanwhile, Roman tries to watch his Japanese satellite launch on his phone in the bathroom, only for the rocket to explode on the pad. He's essentially committed corporate manslaughter and is more worried about clearing his browser history. At the reception, Logan gathers the children and tells them about Kendall's betrayal, pitting the siblings against each other. Outside, Tom finally grows a spine, kicks Nate out of the party, and forces the lover to pour the wine back into the bottle. But the victory is short-lived. Shiv suggests an open marriage on their wedding night. The real nightmare begins when Kendall goes out to hunt for drugs with a waiter Logan had fired earlier. In a scene out of a horror movie, a high Kendall crashes the car into a lake. He escapes, but the waiter drowns. Kendall returns to the party in shock, pretending nothing happened, but the bill comes due the next morning. Logan knows everything. He calls his son into a room, shows him the keycard found at the crime scene, and offers the ultimate deal. He'll cover it up if Kendall drops the takeover and goes to rehab. The episode ends with Kendall crying in his father's arms, totally defeated and bound to him forever.
You're my boy.
Kendall comes out of rehab straight onto TV, looking like the Winter Soldier right after a brainwashing session. His eyes are vacant, he's repeating canned phrases, and he's defending his father as if his soul was surgically removed. The vibe is heavy, and the whole family is summoned to the summer house in the Hamptons, which smells worse than Twitter on a cancellation day. The reason for the smell? A bag of dead raccoons in the chimney, the perfect metaphor for this rotten family. There, Logan plays 4D chess with everyone's minds. He pretends he's going to sell the company, sending the children into a panic, but in reality, he's just testing their loyalty. In this corporate Game of Thrones, Shiv comes out on top. The old man pulls her into the office and offers her the CEO crown. She accepts instantly, thinking she's finally in charge, but Logan demands absolute secrecy. Meanwhile, Colin informs Kendall that the mess from the waiter's death has been swept under the rug, so he's legally free, but emotionally, he's on his father's leash. In the end, Logan decides not to sell and sends Kendall, now his official puppet, to the meeting with Sandy and Stewie. Kendall is so broken he stares down his former allies and promises to destroy their lives with the coldness of a horror villain. Oh, and Logan stiffed the contractor who found the raccoons, just to remind everyone he's a petty billionaire. Logan sends his kids on an apprentice-style mission, evaluate Vaulter, a digital media startup that's basically BuzzFeed mixed with Vice. Kendall, trying to be professional, thinks the company has a future. Shiv, thinking she's already the queen bee, discovers there's fine print in her imaginary contract. Her father wants her to train for 3 years before taking over. She's livid but swallows her pride. Meanwhile, Logan ignores Kendall's logic and embraces Roman's vision that Vaulter is trash. The order is clear. Dud it. Then we see the new Kendall in action. He walks into Vaulter, has Wi-Fi jammers installed, and fires everyone en masse with the empathy of a T-800. He shreds the company in 15 minutes. The weirdest part? On his way out, he walks into a convenience store and steals a pack of batteries, throwing them away immediately after. It's the only moment he feels any adrenaline in his zombie corporate life. To close, Shiv is fired from Gil's political campaign after making a bad joke but lies to her father, saying she quit to join the company. Now everyone is back in the snake pit. It feels like Greg walked into a low-budget spy movie. He meets with a biographer who wants dirt on Logan, but the cousin panics and flees faster than Shaggy from a ghost. Meanwhile, Logan decides he wants to buy PGM, a rival media giant, ignoring all medical and financial advice. Basically, the old man wants what he wants. The whole family goes to a corporate retreat in Hungary, which has a Midsummer meets Wolf of Wall Street vibe. The idea is to hunt boars, but the tension is so high, it feels like they're going to hunt each other. Connor, ever delusional, continues his bizarre presidential campaign based on not paying taxes, while Shiv and the others try to navigate the minefield of their father's mood. Everything falls apart at dinner. Logan finds out someone leaked info to the Pierce family and decides to turn the meal into a psychological torture session worthy of Saw. He initiates the infamous boar on the floor game. It's humiliating. The mogul forces Greg, Tom, and Carl to crawl and fight for sausages on the floor while he hurls insults at them. It's cringeworthy, terrifying, and shows Logan has reached a level of medieval tyranny. In the chaos, Roman confesses he spoke to the Pierce heiress, earning a monumental scolding. Eventually, they find out the leak came from an executive who just died, which saves everyone else. Shiv finally gets the green light to start shadowing her father, and Roman is dispatched to a management course, basically corporate detention. The big day has arrived for Shiv to play The Devil Wears Prada by her father's side, but reality hits hard. The first hurdle is dealing with an ATN anchor who has a dog named Blondie. Tom is tasked with investigating the guy in an interview that would give any HR department a heart attack. Meanwhile, Roman is living his undercover boss moment, working as a mascot at a company theme park. He hates every second, insults children, and befriends a normal employee.
This woman needs satisfaction that you are clearly not providing. Thanks for coming.
I have several high-end racing drones.
Oh my god, stop. No offense, but wow.
Elsewhere, Connor is at a funeral trying to do political networking. The problem? The deceased's nickname was Mo. Willa has to save Connor's eulogy so he doesn't end up praising a bad person in public. The mood darkens when a gunshot rings out in the Waystar office. The building goes into lockdown, and we see a Titanic-style class divide. Logan, Shiv, and PGM CEO Rhea go to a VIP safe room with luxury and security. Tom and Greg, however, are stuck in a random office with zero protection. In this economy-class confinement, Greg tries to break up his professional relationship with Tom, who reacts by pelting his cousin with water bottles like a spoiled child. In the VIP room, Kendall uses the time to close the PGM deal. In the end, they discover the shooting was just the suicide of a stressed employee. Logan's indifference is chilling. Roman ends the day on a bizarre call with Jerry, mixing and mommy issues. And Kendall, he goes to the roof and sees they've installed massive glass anti-suicide barriers. The message is clear: you can't leave, even if you want to jump. The Roy family embarks on a trip that is basically a billionaire version of Meet the Parents. They spend the weekend at the Pierce estate, the liberal, intellectual family that owns PGM. The mission is simple: pretend to be normal, cultured people to close the acquisition. Logan, acting like a general before battle, bans excessive drinking and demands exemplary behavior. Upon arrival, the culture shock is immediate. The Pierces are the kind of rich people who have PhDs and talk about poetry, while the Roys are corporate sharks. Connor tries to play the intellectual by talking politics and embarrasses himself, while Roman lies about having read books. Kendall finds a kindred spirit in Naomi Pierce. Their connection is based purely on trauma and illicit substances, Euphoria style. Dinner is a minefield, pressure mounts, and Shiv, feeling the need to mark her territory, drops the bomb. She announces in front of everyone that she will be the successor to Waystar. The atmosphere soured instantly. Logan is furious at the breach of protocol and shuts the topic down. Meanwhile, Kendall and Naomi almost crash a helicopter in a high Bonnie and Clyde vibe.
Wait. No. No, abort. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off.
But the award for the most bizarre moment goes to Roman. He goes after Jerry, and their dynamics evolve into something that would leave Christian Grey confused. He locks himself in the bathroom while she insults him through the door in a session of therapy meets kink. The next day, after tense negotiations and Logan nearly walking away, the Pierces agree to the sale, but the Roy patriarch can't even celebrate, isolating himself in his room. We are at Argestes, a sort of TED Talk mixed with summer camp for the world's wealthiest. But the mood is far from festive. The chicken bomb finally explodes. A magazine is about to publish the story on the Waystar cruise scandals. It's total damage control, scandal level, but without Olivia Pope to save the day. Tom and Greg star in the episode's Dumb and Dumber moment. They realize the slogan, "We are listening," is legally dangerous because it implies the company knew about the crimes. Their genius solution? Change it to "We here for you," a phrase that makes no grammatical sense and sounds ridiculous. Logan decides the best strategy is to put his children on the main stage for a panel. Shiv, Kendall, and Roman head up there to defend the company. Shiv tries to distance herself from the problems by calling the company's old ways dinosaurs, a not-so-subtle dig at her own father. Backstage, all hell breaks loose. Logan won't accept the insolence and, in a fit of rage, slaps Roman across the face so hard a tooth flies out. The physical violence shocks everyone, and Kendall rushes to defend his brother, showing that the family is falling apart. To seal the coffin, they go to a comedy show where the host delivers a brutal roast about the cruise line scandals. Man Pierce, seeing the horror show, cancels the PGM sale on the spot and fires Rhea. Logan is left screaming in the parking lot as his dream deal vanishes. Logan carries on as if the company isn't on fire. While a party is held to calm nerves about the cruise scandal, Kendall is in the bathroom sending to Naomi Pierce. Yes, the interim CEO has turned into a teenager on Tinder, but things really heat up for Tom. He goes into an interview thinking it's a friendly chat and gets grilled alive about the cruise crimes. In a total panic, he runs to Greg and tells him to burn the secret documents that incriminate them all. Greg, who is sharper than he looks, burns the paperwork in a Breaking Bad-esque scene, but cleverly keeps some crucial evidence and records the conversation. Cousin Greg is playing 4D chess while Tom is still learning checkers. The family crosses the pond to London to try and save what's left of their reputation. However, a fake news story planted by rivals claims Logan bullied an employee to death. The old man decides to visit the boy's family to clean up his image and drags Kendall along. It's the most macabre bring your kid to work day in history, since Kendall is the one actually responsible for the waiter's death in the car accident. The atmosphere in the house is unbearable, and later, Kendall tries to open up to his mother, Caroline, but she, with the emotional depth of an ice cube, flees the conversation, proving that coldness is genetic. Meanwhile, Roman tries to negotiate the company shares with their mother, and Shiv, seeing Rhea dominating the territory and becoming Dad's favorite, tries to push back but ends up completely sidelined. The Roy family has never been more broken. The Roy Circus caravan heads to Scotland, Logan's birthplace, to celebrate the company's 50th anniversary. Before that, Kendall starts a fling with Jennifer, an actress from Willa's terrible play. In Dundee, it's total Cold War. Marcia, the stepmother who doesn't play around, down, corners Rhea, asking if she has any STIs, marking her territory like a lion on the savannah. Shiv tries to sabotage her rival by giving an awkward toast exposing that Rhea is a liberal and doesn't drink, but the move backfires and only makes Logan angrier. It doesn't stop there. Ewan, Logan's moralistic brother, shows up to give Greg an ultimatum. The deal is simple. Either he quits Waystar or he loses his $250 million inheritance to Greenpeace. Greg tries to find the courage to leave, but Logan manipulates him in seconds. Then we reach the gala, and prepare yourselves for the most legendary and cringeworthy moment in television history. Kendall takes the stage, puts on a custom baseball jersey, and performs an original rap in honor of his father. It's like watching Michael Scott from The Office, but with a $1 billion budget. The secondhand embarrassment is so thick you could cut it with a knife, but the real surprise comes later. Logan, tired of his children's tantrums, drops the atomic bomb. He takes the stage and announces Rhea as his official successor.
Rhea Jarrell as my Chief Executive Officer.
Everyone's jaw hits the floor. Shiv is devastated, and Kendall, in a moment of elitist sociopathy, breaks up with his new girlfriend just because she said the word awesome too many times. While the family implodes on stage, backstage, the team tries to silence a whistleblower who refuses millions of dollars to stay quiet. The empire is about to crumble, but at least we got Kendall's rap. The cruise scandal has finally hit the fan, and the Roy family is in Washington, ready to be grilled by Congress on national TV, C-SPAN style, but with more drama. While executives monitor the TV to see who's going to take the fall, we discovered the most disgusting term in the series, NRPI, no real person involved, the acronym the company used for crimes against migrant workers. Tom is the first to sit in the hot seat and leads a total disaster. Pressured by Senator Gill, he sweats, stutters, and drops the gem that he doesn't know Greg, which is a lie under oath. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world, Roman went to do business in Turkey and ends up held hostage by armed terrorists. The weirdest part? He treats the life or death situation like a boring Zoom meeting, closing the deal with Edward in the middle of the captivity. Back in the US, someone needs to silence a key witness. Rhea, who until then wanted to be CEO, finds she has moral limits and refuses. It falls to Shiv. The favorite daughter dives headfirst into the dark side, manipulating the victim into accepting money and staying silent. It's a total villain turn. In the end, Logan testifies and tries to shift the blame to Kendall, but his son surprises everyone by defending his father with terrifying rhetorical skill. They win the day, but Rhea, disgusted by it all, resigns. Logan doesn't even blink and warns, for the company to survive, they need to offer up a blood sacrifice to the law. Someone in the family is going to have to go to prison. Greg attempts to testify before Congress, and proves to be about as articulate as a 5th grader who didn't study for his oral exam. As the walls close in, the entire family retreats to a luxury yacht in the Mediterranean. The setting is idyllic, but the vibe is pure Survivor. Someone is about to be voted off the island and sent straight to prison.
Me?
The yacht becomes a psychological battlefield. Willa, frustrated by the reviews of her play, tosses Connor's iPad into the sea. Shiv proposes an open marriage to Tom, who refuses and finally admits he's unhappy in a heartbreaking scene on the beach. Roman returns from Turkey unscathed, bringing the deal that could save the company financially. But it's at breakfast where things get ugly. In a cringeworthy roundtable discussion, everyone begins offering each other up as a sacrifice. It's the Hunger Games with silver cutlery. In the end, Logan chooses Kendall. He tells his son he isn't fit for CEO because he's not a killer. Kendall accepts his fate as the scapegoat and flies back to New York for the final press conference. Then comes the plot twist of the decade. Before the cameras, instead of taking the fall, Kendall goes off script. He looks directly into the lens and eviscerates his father, calling Logan a malignant presence and a liar, and he's not bluffing. Greg saved the documents Tom ordered him to burn. Kendall has finally proven he is a killer. The season ends with Logan watching the screen with a faint smile on his face. War has been declared. Immediately after dropping the nuclear bomb at the press conference, Kendall is riding such an adrenaline high, he looks like he's downed 5 energy drinks at once. He tries to recruit the team in the car, but Carolina, sensing the ship is sinking, jumps out, literally. Kendall kicks her out of the vehicle in the middle of the street like it's a mission from Grand Theft Auto. Locked out of Waystar, the Revolution bunker becomes the apartment of his ex-wife Rava. The atmosphere is pure chaos, with lawyers and PR strategists trying to turn Kendall into America's new hero. or at least keep him out of jail. Meanwhile, Team Logan is in a panic at the airport. They try to call the White House for a favor from the DOJ, only to get a monumental cold shoulder. Without protection, Logan decides to flee to Sarajevo, a very specific vacation destination for someone looking to avoid extradition. On the plane, a corporate battle royale ensues. Logan needs to name an interim CEO to hold the line while he retires. The contest is between Shiv, Roman, and Jerry. Tom, always playing the bat channels, tips off his wife, but the info leaks faster than a Twitter rumor. Back in New York, Shiv's mission is to hire Lisa Arthur, a celebrity lawyer on a Better Call Saul level. But when she arrives for the meeting, she discovers Kendall beat her to it and already retained her. Shiv storms out, only to get the news over the phone. She's lost the crown. Jerry is named interim CEO. Logan declares total war and hires an even more aggressive legal defense. The Empire strikes back. Paranoia hits stratospheric levels. Greg is shaking like a leaf, terrified of being arrested for the documents he kept. Tom applies psychological pressure, but our favorite cousin manages to dodge him and seeks help from his grandfather, Ewan. The old man hooks him up with a lawyer who hates capitalism. Pure irony for someone defending a Waystar employee. Kendall, Shiv, Roman, and Connor gather to discuss whether to kill the king. Adding a dramatic touch, Kendall receives a giant Trojan horse gift from Stewie. Not subtle at all. They lock themselves in the kid's bedroom to negotiate. Kendall tries to sell the idea of an Avengers-style super team to take down their father for good. He even brings Stewie and Sandy into the call, promising that together they can avoid a risky shareholder vote. For a moment, it seems like it might actually happen. The siblings agree their father is toxic and needs to go. But then, Kendall's ego ruins everything. He insists that he must be the CEO, making everyone roll their eyes. To seal the coffin on the alliance, a special delivery arrives from Logan, a box of donuts. It's not a snack, it's a Godfather-style message. I know where you are and what you're doing. Their fear of daddy wins out. Shiv, Roman, and Connor jump ship, leaving Kendall to spiral alone. In Sarajevo, Marcia reappears, but this time she's playing hardball. She negotiates her return with the coldness of a sports agent, demanding money and power to save Logan's happy family image. Back in the States, Logan tries to keep his children close and offers Shiv the role of president. It sounds important, but with Jerry as CEO, it feels more like a consolation prize. Kendall is in full influencer mode, obsessed with Twitter and convinced he's the new media messiah. Meanwhile, Logan is playing defense, refusing to cooperate with the DOJ and ignoring Jerry's warnings. The vibe at Waystar is so toxic you'd need a hazmat suit to walk through the lobby. Tom is spiraling over the real possibility of trading his Italian suits for a prison jumpsuit. In a moment of desperation, or a bizarre martyr complex, he suggests to Logan that he's willing to take the fall and go to prison in his father-in-law's place. Logan thanks him with the coldness of an iceberg, saying it's not necessary, but we all know he made a mental note of the offer. Then, the circus catches fire. Kendall decides to invade the Waystar offices, ignoring his own lawyer and acting like he owns the place. But the real low blow comes during a company event. As Shiv is on stage giving a speech, the sound system is hacked, and Nirvana blares at maximum volume. Shiv doesn't take it lying down. She writes an open letter exposing all of her brother's dirty laundry. It's so nasty that Roman and Connor refuse to sign it, but Shiv pulls the trigger and publishes it anyway. Kendall sees the letter backstage at a late-night style talk show and emotionally collapses before going on air. His ego turns to dust. To top off the day, the FBI loses patience and raids Waystar headquarters, forcing Logan to cooperate by force. With the FBI breathing down their necks and stock prices tanking, Josh Aronson appears, a billionaire investor who holds 4% of the company. He summons Logan and Kendall to a meeting on his private island. It's essentially forced family therapy where the therapist can make you lose billions if he doesn't like what he hears. Back at the firm, Tom tries to pressure cousin Greg to stay on his side, only to find out the bumbling kid has already signed a joint defense agreement with Waystar in exchange for a promotion in the parks division. Greg is playing 4D survival chess while Tom is whimpering in the corners. On the island, Josh forces father and son into a relaxing nature hike. The problem is that Logan is old and the son is brutal. He tries to maintain his indestructible alpha male persona, refusing help, but his body gives out. Kendall, paranoid that everything is a trap, remains cold and distant. The "we're working it out" facade crumbles when Logan nearly has a heat stroke and needs to be carried. Josh sees this fragility and the lack of synergy between the two and decides to bail, aligning himself with rivals Sandy and Stewie. Parallel to this, Shiv is is playing with fire, forcing ATN to attack the President of the United States to try and strong-arm a legal settlement. The President is furious and calls Logan to tear him a new one. This risky strategy only succeeded in lengthening the family's list of powerful enemies. Chaos reigns at the shareholder meeting, and the mood is corporate apocalypse. Sandy and Stewie are playing hardball, demanding board seats and veto power, while Logan is completely out of orbit. The patriarch missed his meds and is giving off Weekend at Bernie's vibes, except instead of being dead, he's hallucinating from a UTI, raving about dead cats under his chair. With the big boss KO'd in the bathroom, Shiv decides to take the wheel. She channels her inner girl boss and negotiates directly with Sandy's daughter. They play the female empathy card in a world of toxic men and strike a deal. The rivals get their seats, the private jets are grounded, and Shiv secures an extra seat for herself. Everyone signs off without Logan knowing, as the old man is busy being medicated by his assistant Carrie. Meanwhile, Kendall continues to be Kendall. He crashes the stage in a moment of pure cringe, asking for a moment of silence for the victims, ruining the flow and confusing the audience.
To please join with me in a moment of silence for all the victims of crimes that took place on our watch.
As for cousin Greg, he's reached cartoon villain levels. After finding out his grandfather is donating his inheritance, the kid decides to sue Greenpeace. Yes, he wants to sue the people who save whales to secure his bag. When Logan regains consciousness, the mood sours. Instead of thanking Shiv for saving the company, he's furious she made a deal behind his back. To make matters worse, the president announces he won't seek re-election because ATN pushed too hard. Logan ends the day by blocking Kendall's number and making it clear that no one in the room knows what they're doing. Kendall is in classic denial, acting like he's Batman taking on Gotham, but his lawyer Lisa warns him his evidence is weak. His response? He fires the best lawyer in town because his ego can't handle criticism. Meanwhile, the Roy family heads to Virginia for an event that is essentially American Idol for choosing the next president of the United States. The goal is to find a candidate who will help Waystar stay out of jail and fight big tech. It's a parade of depressing politicians. Shiv bets on a moderate who promises to prosecute her if elected, which she finds strangely sexy, but Roman is fascinated by Jared Menken, an alt-right provocateur who speaks directly to the ATN audience. In the middle of this Vanity Fair, the season's tensest meeting happens in a cheap diner. Kendall tries to recruit Tom to turn witness against Logan, but Tom gives him a reality check. He's seen Kendall try to take down his father many times and fail, but he's never seen Logan lose. Tom takes a mental picture of his brother-in-law's failure and walks away. Back at the event, Logan ignores Shiv's sensible politics and goes with Roman's gun. He decides to back the extremist candidate because at the end of the day, what matters is TV ratings and power, not democracy. Roman emerges as the new favorite son, proving that negotiating with fascists in the bathroom can be very lucrative in the Roy family. Tom gets the best news of his life. The federal investigation has stalled, and he won't have to trade his Italian suits for an orange jumpsuit. His euphoria is so intense he trashes Greg's office and climbs the furniture like he just won the Super Bowl single-handedly. Logan, in his discreet mob boss style, assures him he won't forget his loyalty. Meanwhile, it's Kendall's 40th birthday party, and his ego has inflated so much the entrance to the event is literally a recreation of his mother's birth canal. It's giving Kanye West existential crisis. But Shiv and Roman aren't there for the drinks. They're hunting Lucas Matson, the eccentric Gojo CEO who hates Logan. Roman delivers Daddy's gift to Kendall, a card telling him to take the buyout money and disappear, while Kendall spirals, searching for a lost gift from his kids in a mountain of boxes. A pathetic scene showing just how empty he is. Roman invades the VIP area, a giant treehouse naturally, and charms Matson. He plays dirty, promising to kill Waystar's Jurassic streaming service and keep Logan at bay. Kendall's night goes from bad to worse. He finds out his ex-wife is being shadowed on Roman's orders, cancels his grand musical performance, and ends the night having an emotional breakdown. On the way out, the ultimate sibling brawl occurs. Roman humiliates Kendall, shoves him to the ground, and leaves victorious. The birthday boy goes home destroyed, comforted by his girlfriend, realizing his blowout bash was just a stage for his own social funeral. The Roy family lands in Tuscany for their mother Caroline's wedding, and the vibe is pure awkwardness. Roman discovers the groom is basically a broke social clamor, but their mother couldn't care less. Connor, trying to create a smokescreen to protect his girlfriend's reputation, proposes to Willa at a terrible moment. Her reaction is about as enthusiastic as someone receiving a subpoena. Tension explodes at a dinner between Kendall and Logan. Kendall prepared the meal, but Logan, acting like a paranoid medieval king, makes his grandson taste the food first to check for poison. Kendall offers to leave the company forever for $2 billion, calling the whole thing corrupt. Logan hits back hard, throwing the death of the waiter from season 1 in his son's face, reminding him who cleaned up his mess. Shiv has a brutal mother-daughter moment where Caroline confesses she should have raised dogs instead of children.
Truth is, I probably should never have had children. I should have had dogs.
This messes with Shiv's head so much that she goes to bed with Tom and starts the most toxic, dirty talk in history, telling him she doesn't love him and that he's beneath her. The next day, she tries to play it off as a joke, but the damage is done. On the business side, everything was going well with Gojo until Roman commits the digital blunder of the millennium. Attempting to send a pic to Jerry, he accidentally sends it directly to his father, Logan, mid-meeting. Chaos is instantaneous. Shiv tries to use it to destroy her brother, suggesting harassment, but Jerry dodges. The episode ends on a heavy note with a drunken Kendall floating face down in the pool, a scene reminiscent of The Great Gatsby, leaving it unclear if he's given up the fight or given up on life. Kendall survived the pool dip, but the mood is heavier than a Game of Thrones finale. While he recovers, the Swede, Matsson, who is essentially Elon Musk with fewer filters, decides to flip the script. His company, Gojo, is now worth more than Waystar, and he proposes a full acquisition. Logan Roy's ego obviously doesn't take well to the idea of exiting the stage. Meanwhile, the siblings attempt an intervention with Kendall, thinking he tried to take his own life. He denies it, but eventually breaks down and confesses the series' darkest secret, the waiter's death at the wedding. It's a moment of total catharsis, and for once, Roman and Shiv act like real siblings instead of sharks. They discover a clause in their parents' divorce settlement that gives them the power to veto the sale of the company. It's the perfect leverage. The trio unites like corporate Avengers to take down their father. Shiv, in her excitement, tells the plan to her husbandish, Tom. Fatal mistake. They storm Logan's villa to deliver the checkmate. The old man tries everything, humiliation, shouting, but they hold firm. Then comes the nuclear bomb. Logan renegotiated the divorce with their mother behind their backs. They've lost their voting power. Game over. To top off the betrayal, Tom arrives and receives a paternal pat on the shoulder from Logan. Shiv realizes instantly she's been sleeping with Judas this whole time. The Roy siblings are now in Los Angeles, playing at being a startup with a new idea called The 100, trying to move on after being kicked out of their father's empire. Meanwhile, in New York, Logan is celebrating a birthday sadder than an office party without booze. The highlight of the event is cousin Greg, who brings a random, tactless date, creating that cringe atmosphere we all love. The calm ends when Shiv finds out via her soon-to-be ex-husband Tom that Logan is looking to buy PGM, the Pierce media giant. The trio decides to scrap the startup idea on the spot to hijack their father's deal. It's pure, expensive revenge. A frantic bidding war by telephone begins. Nan Pierce plays hard to get, knowing she has the Roys where she wants them. Logan offers $6 billion, but the children, driven by spite and infinite money, go for broke and offer $10 billion. Nan accepts, and Logan is left fuming, losing to his own offspring. Simultaneously, at Logan's party, Greg's date manages to film an accidental tape in a house full of security cameras. Old man Logan loses it, has the girl kicked out, and ends up philosophizing with his bodyguard about the afterlife. At the end of the day, Shiv and Tom meet at their NY apartment. The marriage is dead and buried, but they lie down together holding hands in a melancholy moment reminiscent of Marriage Story, just with much more money involved. Logan decides to go full Steve Jobs, climbing onto cardboard boxes in the ATN newsroom to give an inflamed speech about reinventing the brand. Meanwhile, Carrie, his assistant and girlfriend, dreams of being the new TV anchor, but her demo reel is so bad it becomes an internal joke, the kind of embarrassing blooper reel that ends up on YouTube. On the other side of the trenches, the rebel siblings discover Tom has been playing dirty on a Sopranos level. He consulted all the best divorce lawyers in New York just to conflict them out so Shiv can't hire them. Low blow. Running late to Connor's rehearsal dinner because Daddy confiscated the helicopter. They run into Stewie and Sandy, who suggest blocking the Gojo sale to squeeze more money out of Matsson. Kendall receives a direct threat from the Swede not to do it, but his ego is bigger than his common sense, and he hides the threat from his siblings to proceed with the plan.
So either back off or I'm gonna walk.
I got you. Loud and clear.
Okay.
I think that's it, K. Roy.
The climax happens in a karaoke bar, where Logan shows up to try and negotiate. The scene is awkward, with Carrie refusing to leave, and the old man trying to apologize without actually apologizing. When the kids won't budge, Logan drops the emotional nuke. He tells them he loves them, but that they are not serious people. Tom, ever the coward, delegates the mission impossible of firing Carrie from a job she never even got to cousin Greg, and Roman, proving to be the weakest link, betrays the sibling alliance and knocks on his father's door in the middle of the night, begging for a job. On the day of Connor's wedding, Roman is given the thankless task of firing Jerry on his father's orders. The conversation is a horror show, and she, of course, threatens to burn it all down, a tense scene reminiscent of Bombshell. Meanwhile, Logan skips his son's wedding to fly to Sweden and close the deal with Matsson, but the game flips upside down when Tom calls from the plane to say Logan collapsed in the bathroom. What follows is one of the most chaotic and agonizing moments in TV history. While flight attendants perform chest compressions on the patriarch, the siblings take turns on the phone saying their final words to their unconscious father. It's a desperate mix of "I love you," "Don't die," and old resentments, all broadcast via speakerphone by Tom. The confirmation comes. The Titan has fallen. Logan Roy is dead. While the children emotionally collapse, the executive team on the plane, Frank, Carl, and Carolina, immediately enters Wall Street mode, drafting press releases and worrying about the stock price before the body is even cold. Connor, in a bizarre state of shock, decides to go through with the wedding anyway. He and Willa exchange vows in a nearly empty, somber ceremony. In the end, the plane lands, and the siblings face the press like British royalty in mourning, with Shiv reading the official statement. The king is dead, and now it's every man for himself on the board. The morning after Logan's death begins with a silent bomb. Shiv finds out she's pregnant, but there's no time for a baby shower, as the wake at the patriarch's apartment has turned into a season of Survivor. Marcia rises from the ashes, acting the part of the grieving widow and guarding the territory against sugar baby Carrie in a cringeworthy scene where the mistress drops her bag and is humiliated in front of everyone. The real chaos starts when Frank finds a paper in Logan's safe. It's a draft of a will that points to Kendall as successor.
My dad wanted me to take over. Well, sometimes. You know that. He did. Sometimes.
The problem? His name has a line under it. No one knows if the old man underlined it for emphasis or crossed it out to cancel the kid. It's a corporate Schrodinger's cat. Kendall, of course, becomes obsessed, thinking he's the new King Arthur pulling the sword from the stone. While the old guard executives fight for power, the siblings try to unite. But, as always, someone gets played. Roman and Kendall decide to take over as co-CEOs, sidelining Shiv as a paper-only partner to appease the board. She reluctantly agrees, tripping on her way out in a symbolic moment of a fall. With the crown on his head, Kendall decides to channel his inner Michael Corleone. He finds dirt on Hugo's daughter regarding insider trading and blackmails him. The new boss's order is clear: destroy his dead father's reputation in the media to make the new management look better. Logan would be proud, or horrified. The new leadership has barely warmed their seats before they have to fly to Norway. The Gojo team has summoned Waystar's top brass for a corporate retreat that feels like a mix of Midsommar and The Wolf of Wall Street. Matsson, Gojo's eccentric owner, plays hardball. He offers a fortune for the shares, but wants to take ATN with them, the crown jewel Logan loved. The old guard executives, like Carl and Frank, only see dollar signs and want to sell immediately so they can retire to tropical islands. Kendall and Roman, feeling the weight of the legacy, decide to sabotage the deal. The plan is to make Matsson back out on his own. Meanwhile, Shiv decides to play her own game. She sits down for a drink with Matsson, who reveals himself to be a complete lunatic. The guy sent blocks of his own frozen blood to his ex-girlfriend. Shiv, seeing an opportunity, becomes the madman's advisor. The next day, the mood sours on a mountaintop. Matsson confronts the brothers about their attempt to tank the deal. Roman loses his cool, blames the Swede for his father's death, and screams that he's not selling anything. It felt like a moral victory. But Matsson simply ignores the CEOs, calls the Waystar board directly, and offers an even higher price. The board accepts instantly. On the flight back, Matsson calls Shiv asking for a photo of her brother's defeated faces. She takes the photo and sends it, proving that in this game, family blood is worth less than a guaranteed seat in the new regime.
Can you send me a photo of their faces?
Congrats, congrats, congrats. What?
In Los Angeles, the Roy family prepares for Investor Day, and Kendall and Roman are determined to launch Living Plus, a luxury condo project that looks like a macabre cross between Disney and a high-tech nursing home, promising to let you live forever, or die paying for it. The brothers' real plan, however, is to sabotage the Gojo deal. They lie to the company's old guard, saying Matsson has lost his mind, trying to kill the sale. Shiv, who is playing for the Swedes team, discovers the scheme and retreats to her scheduled grief in an empty room, where she ends up kissing Tom again. It's the definition of a toxic relationship. Meanwhile, Roman is on a bizarre power trip, acting like a spoiled little king. He goes to the Waystar Studios and fires the head of the department just because she told the truth about ATN's toxicity. Shortly after, when Jerry tries to talk sense into him, he fires her too. The kid is off the rails. Kendall, on the other hand, is in manic visionary mode for his presentation. He forces the team to edit a video of the late Logan to make his father promise non-existent profits. Carl, the CFO, warns him, if this goes south, he'll throw Kendall under the bus without mercy. At 0 hour, everyone expects a Fire Festival-level disaster, but Kendall surprises them. Even with Matsson trying to sabotage everything by tweeting a tasteless Holocaust joke, Kendall keeps his cool, has the Swede delete the post through Shiv, and delivers a Steve Jobs-worthy performance. The stock price soars, and his ego hits the stratosphere. The episode closes with Kendall drawing a number 1 in the sand at the beach, feeling like a god, while Roman stays home listening to an edited audio loop of his father insulting him. It's gala night at Shiv and Tom's penthouse, gathering the political and business elite before the election. The atmosphere is heavy from the start. Kendall argues with his ex-wife Rava, completely ignoring that ATN's hate rhetoric is terrifying his own daughter. Shiv, continuing her double game, invites Matsson to the party against her brother's wishes. The Swede arrives with his squad, engaging in psychological warfare, and makes it clear to everyone that if he takes over, Tom is out on the street, but the tables turn spectacularly. Kendall and Roman corner Ebba, the Gojo communications exec who suffered through her boss's blood-sending bizarreness. After a few drinks and cigarettes, she drops the bomb. Gojo's subscriber numbers in India are fake.
India.
India. Right.
The tech genius is a fraud, inflating data to pump up the company value. With this ace up his sleeve, Kendall decides he no longer wants to sell Waystar. He wants to pull a reverse Viking and swallow the Swedes company instead. The highlight, however, is the final destruction of Shiv and Tom's marriage. They head to the balcony for the most brutal argument in the show's history. Tom throws it in her face that she's incapable of love and says she'd be a terrible mother, unaware that she is pregnant right then and there. It's heartbreaking. Shiv leaves destroyed without telling him the news. Meanwhile, Roman tries to apologize to Jerry, but she activates shark lawyer mode, threatening to sue and leak his private photos if he doesn't leave her alone. The night ends with the couple sleeping in separate beds, in that deafening silence of those who have lost everything but the money. Tension at ATN is higher than Tom, who has decided to tackle election night coverage fueled by white powder and paranoia, corporate Scarface style. While Greg plays spy and tells Tom about Shiv's secret alliance with Matsson, the executive floor becomes a war zone. Roman wants to elect Jared Mencken, the alt-right candidate who promises to block the company's sale, while Shiv fakes morality by supporting the Democrat, but only because it helps the Gojo deal. Kendall is caught in the crossfire, trying to act like a good father concerned about the future of democracy, but the mask slips fast. When a voting center in Milwaukee is set on fire, destroying thousands of ballots, chaos ensues. Shiv tries to appeal to Tom's human side and tells him she's pregnant, hoping for a soft moment of reconciliation, but Tom is so emotionally armored that he accuses her of it being just another manipulation tactic. Ouch. Things fall apart completely when Kendall asks Shiv to use her contacts to block the deal. She leaves, fakes the call, and comes back with a lie. Kendall, who isn't stupid, checks the info and realizes his own sister is playing against him. This triggers his Joker mode. He decides to burn the playground down and orders Tom to call the victory for Mencken, ignoring all journalistic ethics. In the middle of a bizarre incident involving wasabi in a data analyst's eyes, a scene worthy of The Office, ATN calls the result. Democracy be damned. All that matters is that the Gojo deal is blocked. Shiv ends the night defeated and swearing revenge, while America heads into the abyss.
No, but this is crazy.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do a number on him.
We're gonna fuck them so hard, we're gonna fix this, yeah?
The next day is essentially the purge on the streets of New York, with violent protests against the election result, but the Roys have rich people problems to solve. Logan's funeral. Kendall wakes up furious because his ex-wife is fleeing the city with the kids, and his assistant Jess chooses the worst possible moment to quit. Kendall's ego can't handle this much rejection. Meanwhile, Shiv continues playing 4D chess. She uses the chaos to leak Gojo's fake India numbers, knowing no one will pay attention in the middle of a state funeral. In the church, there's a bizarre ex-wives club gathering in the front row. Logan's brother Ewan takes the pulpit and delivers a harsh truth, dismantling the deceased and exposing him as a cruel man. The pressure gets to Roman, who goes up to speak, trying to maintain his tough CEO persona, but he collapses and starts sobbing like a child in front of the cameras and the global elite. His reputation is over. Saving the day, in his own mind, is Kendall, who improvises a speech praising his father's ambition. After the burial, Shiv plays her final card. She convinces Matsson to offer the president-elect an American CEO for Waystar herself. She leaves convinced she's won the Iron Throne. Roman, humiliated and mocked by Kendall for crying, walks off alone into the anti-Mencken protests and practically throws himself into the crowd to get beaten up, a total self-destructive Fight Club vibe. Kendall is hunting for votes like it's the final stretch of a presidential campaign, while Shiv thinks the trophy is already in her hands. The two fly to Barbados to rescue Roman, who is recovering from his street brawl, but the real plot twist happens far away. Matsson has dinner with Tom and confesses he wants to have an affair with Shiv, but doesn't want her as CEO because it would be too messy. The Swede solution? Offer the crown to Tom. Cousin Greg, activating Spy Kids mode with a translation app, discovers the betrayal and rushes to tell Kendall. With her ego bruised, Shiv flips sides faster than a reality show contestant. The Roy army reunites, and with few options left, they decide Kendall will be king. There's even a rare moment of happiness in their mother's kitchen, making a disgusting smoothie to anoint their brother. But back in New York, reality hits hard. Shiv discovers Tom is the chosen one, and the mood turns pitch black. Tom realizes the leak came from Greg, and the two end up in a pathetic slat fight in the bathroom. Total internet fail video energy.
No, I don't think I'm not.
You fucking little prick.
The time for the final Waystar board vote arrives. Roman spirals before entering, and Kendall tries to console his brother with an embrace so violent it pops the stitches on his forehead, making him bleed. Toxic doesn't even begin to describe it. In the boardroom, the vote is tied and everything depends on Shiv, and then she freezes. She simply cannot accept Kendall in charge. Her brother has a total meltdown. He denies he killed the waiter at the wedding, gaslighting to the max, and screams that he deserves the job because he's the eldest son. Roman hits back, saying Kendall's children aren't Logan's pure blood. Kendall loses his mind and physically attacks Roman right there. Seeing this horror show, Shiv votes in favor of the sale. It's over. Tom wins the corporate Game of Thrones. He takes over as CEO, keeps Greg close, and stays with Shiv as his unhappy trophy wife in a silent car. Roman ends up alone at a bar, with a smile that says he's finally free of the weight, and Kendall, totally destroyed, ends up staring at the Hudson River, realizing he's lost the only thing that gave his life meaning.